What's up, guys? Doug Polk here, and today we're going to be breaking down a hand from the $2 million guaranteed main event over at the Lodge. Let's go ahead and jump into the action.
For clubs, that would have been something.
People in chat speculating about the bet sizing, but I think with deep triple barreling, even though the barrels were small, I think you put Saliba in a really weird spot, even if he has an ace. If he just has a weak ace, he just feels like, okay, I'm getting milked on 3 streets. Maybe he lets it go and preserves his stack on the river. I don't know. All I know is Sean Deeb's world class, and he's thinking a lot more than I am. And
all that
I
makes
trust
a
his
lot
judgment.
of sense, yes. But that hand from Saliba was just well disguised. Imagine Deeb surprised to see the ace-queen.
Our hand begins at 75K, 150K at the final table of the main event. We currently are still 8-handed in the Lodge main. Let's go ahead and take a brief look at our payouts. You can see we've got 48,000 for our 8th place finisher, 64 for 7th, 84, 112, 151, 208, 291, and $427,000 for our eventual winner. So there is a lot of ICM pressure on these players as they begin to play these hands. Back to the hand in question. Action begins with Christian raising up the pocket jacks here in early position on just 2.5 million chips. It's a reasonable play as well to just go all in here on the stack. I wouldn't mind either way. But when you get to your very strong pre-flop hands, you are sort of incentivized in tournaments to just raise small and keep your opponents in. Certainly we would want to do this with aces or kings. And then you can maybe throw in a few bluffs. Hands not quite good enough to jam. Maybe something like ace 10 off, ace jack off, ace 4 suited, ace 3 suited, some stuff like that. So you're very polarized when you raise this small. A deeper stack, when they raise this small, they probably have all of their hands. In this exact instance, it should be a polarized opening range. Anyway, he does decide to min raise the jacks to 300K. Action folds around the Devin on the button, who looks down at ace 9 of hearts. In this situation, as a middling stack, can be a bit dicey. The small stacks are incentivized to go for it, and the deeper ones are incentivized to go for it as well. Middle stacks, much like our current economy, they're always getting squeezed. Anyway, Devin does decide to call. I like this call. You could argue that maybe an occasional 3-bet could be okay, but you kind of dislike that when you're facing such a short stack. If he jams, you're almost priced into calling. You probably are priced into calling, and you really don't want to be getting these hands in. That said, if your opponent made a light open, you deny their equity. I think overall, I'd like just to call here on the button with the ace 9 of hearts. Anyway, the blinds fold. Let's go ahead and take a flop.
The strong story there with just 7 high. Jacks now for Christian.
CD checks.
No flush draw for Devin. Devin's played some cash streams here at the Lodge before. He's from Florida. And he's having a good tournament run, making it all the way to the final table. He was pretty short, too, about a couple hours ago. Survived a couple all-ins. And now a healthy 4.3 bets 300,000.
The flop comes queen 6 deuce. Christian with jacks in the lead here, but Devin does have the nut flush draw. Christian now decides to check it over with the pocket jacks. And with this hand, it makes a lot of sense. If you look at solutions, typically speaking, solvers like to check when they have, for example, hands like jacks on queen 6 deuce, but they like to bet hands like 7s. The reason is pretty simple. You want to deny equity of overcards. Jacks, there are a lot less cards you want to deny. 7s, if a card like an 8, 9, 10 comes, or jack, then that's another overcard to your pair. Because of this, jacks will often check. Those things said, a board like queen 6 deuce, particularly when your range is polarized when you open, I wouldn't mind just seeing Christian bet everything, but if you're going to start having some checks, pocket jacks is probably your single best candidate. Anyway, now to Devin with the nut flush draw. He can decide to pot control this and check it back, or he can decide to build this pot and look to barrel on the turn or river. I don't mind either way. I do think that this hand plays nice in both ranges. I probably lean a little bit towards a bet, but I'd likely be putting into both categories. I think the bet size here should probably be something around 1/3 pot, and he ultimately decides to go with 300K, which is a totally reasonable bet size to make here with the nut flush draw. Back over now to Christian with pocket jacks. You really don't want to do anything other than raise. If you get this money in, yeah, every now and then your opponent can have a hand like the nut flush draw, but a lot of times they're going to have a hand like a queen or a set, and you simply don't want to get it in against hands that are much stronger than you. Because of that, by check calling, we keep our opponent's range as wide as possible, and we hope to maybe be able to check this one down when we're very close to some pretty good pay jumps. Anyway, Christian does decide to go ahead and just call the flop. Let's go ahead and take a turn.
Trouble.
What a turn card. Holy crap. Top set now for Christian. Nut flush for Devin. Christian with just a little over pot size left in his stack.
That's 425.
Pretty strange spot. It's about 25% of your stack if you just want to call. My problem with that is you're going to be out of position. You also don't want a fourth heart to peel off. Obviously, we see he's already toast right now, but just thinking about the range of hands he could be facing.
Actually, let's not take a turn. Let's just highlight Shaun Deeb right now. Shaun Deeb, in all his glory, comes down to the lodge, wins a 5K, wears a cowboy hat, final table's the main. Does look like he's enjoying himself. I guess you gotta wear the cowboy hat when you're in Texas. I guess. Back to action here. The turn, well, you know what the turn's gonna be. It's a doozy. It's the single card that creates the whole action in this hand. It is the Jack of Hearts. Christian checks once again with his turn set, and now Devin has to decide what to do with the nut flush. Kind of interesting stack size considerations here. 1.9 effective behind with 1.6 in the middle. When stacks become this short relative to the pot, you want to bet a little more merged and check a little more polarized. This is different than when you're very deep stacked in cash games where you want to bet polarized. The reason is simple. If Devin has a hand like ace queen or queen jacks of spades or king queen or something like that, he wants to build this pot and deny equity from hands that can have a heart. If he bets with some kind of semi-bluff, like let's say he had ace 10, ace of hearts and gets jammed on, it's a disaster for him and he has to fold. So when Devin bets here, he should actually be betting with hands that are either fine versus, he should be betting with hands that are fine versus check raise, whether that's some kind of pair or two pair that is looking to get value and build the pot, or whether that's some kind of bluff that's totally fine getting jammed on. At the same time, if Devin has a hand like a turn flush, particularly strong flushes like the nut flush, you're actually a little more incentivized to check them and hope your opponent either bluffs or improves on the river. If Christian had a hand like ace-6 of hearts here, or sorry, if Devin had a hand like ace-6 of hearts here, you would definitely like the check because you block some of the hands that can check call. That said, the 6 isn't all too relevant. Anyway, I don't mind here with the nuts either betting or checking. They're both reasonable plays. I just probably lean a bit towards checking as the stacks get this shallow. Devin decides to go for about a 1/4 pot bet, which is also totally fine and sets up a nice, easy, convenient river jam. Back over to Christian with a set of jacks. I think I lean towards just check calling here. I don't think I would have too many check raises all in. That said, an advantage to jamming here when you have a set of jacks is if Devin has a hand like a pair and a heart, you might be able to either deny that equity or you get the full double if he's going to call and then he doesn't get there. Also, when there is a lot of ICM pressure at the table and you want to ladder up the pay jumps, it becomes important to deny your opponent a chance to suck out on you. All of those things said, I still think I like check call with pocket jacks. So I have some hands I can really believe in to go check call, check call, check call, and let my opponent have some room to bluff in case they have some kind of airball. Anyway, Christian thinks otherwise, and he decides it's time to put in the rest of the chips. And I'm not going to talk about what Devin should do versus a jam here, because if you don't know what Devin should do versus a jam here, you might want to consider a different game than Texas Hold'em.
All in.
Yeah.
1, 2,
There's not a whole lot you could do here with this stack that short, with this hand matchup.
Snaps with the nuts. Gonna need a board pair or else we will have an elimination.
You owe me 1.775.
You can owe you more than that if you win.
And that's gonna do it for seat number 8.
1.8. So 20 bucks.
They only run it once because it's a tournament. The river, another heart, and Christian's eliminated with his set of jacks. A brutal bad beat at the final table for Christian. Sweet pot there for Devin to pick up, and we're down to 7 at the Lodge final table. If you want to see who takes down this event, I'll put a link in the description below. You can check it out. And next year, if you want to come on down, we're going to run the Lodge Championship Series every single year. Make sure you don't miss out on our $2 million main event. That's going to do it for me. Thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you guys again soon. Peace.